on? How you guys doing? This is Xavier. I am the Traffic Link. Welcome again to another Office Hours. And we're going to not really dive too deep into, we're not going to dive too deep into anything new. We're just going to reestablish what you may already know. And in some cases you don't. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm still getting questions, and people, when I say lead generation, lead nurture, or management and CRMs, still get a lot of y'all to be like deer in the headlights. Like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by lead gen? Okay. And I don't think it's, again, I like I was saying last week, it's not a new concept or it's not a new thing. It's just how you apply it into your regular everyday life and how you think about it. Well, I want to start with this one thing. First of all, I recognize that most of us are in a place where we are good at what we do. We're skilled. We know what we know. However, we recognize that what we know is not going to take care of the entirety of the whole of our business. And so with that being said, we're going to dive into understanding the basic tenets of business. You guys all know that in order for you to be in business, you have to have clients, you have to have patients, you have to have people that you serve. Without those people that you serve, the likelihood is that you're not going to be in business anymore. So we call that client acquisition. Well, client acquisition breaks down into like 2 or 3 phases. But we're going to talk about the 2 that are most prevalent. Lead generation, which is getting new clients, getting new patients, and then lead nurture. What you do with those clients once you get them and they're in your system, and how you apply different techniques and skills and different like frameworks to get those people that are already in, say, your fold or in your clan, in your patient docket, and in your people. How do you get all those people together? What do you do with them to be able to scale not only your business, but scale your profits? So before I go any further, I'm going to just make sure that everything is copacetic on my end as far as from a audio perspective. If you guys are in the chat, go ahead and drop, I'm here, or just a wave or something like that, so I can see what's going on. And check and see if you guys are with me. So I'm checking on my end to make sure that I can be heard. So, yeah, I see my live here because I'm trying to get better at this, you guys. You guys understand that. Okay, I got audio. All right, cool. We can continue. I just need to hear and see what's happening. So, all right, I got the chat up, got the volume down low. All right, so let's talk about the first thing first, lead gen. Everybody, when we come into business, what are we looking to do? We need clients. We need people that, we need clients. We need people that are going to be able to come to our business we can serve. And in exchange for the value that we give them, they give us money, right? They give us money. They say, okay, cool, I like what you do. You add value to my life. You're making my life better, more tolerable, helping me survive. Which, by the way, those are the tenets of why people make any move. Everybody's at the end of the day is key to survival. If you help somebody become more resilient and survive, then your likelihood of staying in business is high. Okay, so you got lead. That's lead. We're talking about lead generation, and how does that happen? So a lot of ways that you can make that happen is just by word of mouth, opening up your practice, going out and talking to people, and you get in front of people, and now you can tell them that you're in business. You might have a network of people that you're already involved with. You might have a fellowship. You might have a network group. You might do some in-person networking. You're going to be out in the community. You might be at the grocery store. You tell somebody, you pass them a business card. You say, hey, I would like to get you in. You come up with some kind of promotion or something like that that helps people understand that you're actively, aggressively trying to build your book of business, like your patient book, right? So there's multiple different ways you could do that. And one of the ways that you could do that is in social media. And a lot of you guys probably already have, especially guys that are in the integrative medicine. I've been noticing that there's a lot of folks out there in my integrative medicine community that are making the leap towards getting out there. And some of you guys might be like, X, I've seen you post a lot on Instagram and on TikTok, and even here on YouTube about creating podcasts. And why are you creating podcasts? Why are you doing that? Well, if your thing is marketing operation systems, then why are you helping people create podcasts? Or why are you into that podcast space? Well, just like you, I have to create content so that people can see me. I consider this, what you're seeing right now, as my long form content. This is my long form. This is the equivalent of my long form content or my podcast, right? It's long form content that I can create. As you can tell, I'm going live right now. What do you think the purpose of me going live and creating this content is for? It's for lead generation. It's for lead generation. That's the reason why I have this content. So that's what I'm helping people do when I say I want to help you build your podcast. Because fortunately, and unfortunately, but fortunately, you don't recognize that one of the best ways to get out in front of people is long form content. You need to create some kind of long form content so people can get to know you, get to like you, right? And they can get to trust you, right? Or like, know, and trust, know, like, trust, they kind of play in whatever order you want to put them in, but they need to get to a point of trust, right? They need to get to a point where they recognize that you are the person that they can come to help solve a particular problem that's going to help them thrive, help them go the extra distance, right? And so with that being said, you need to create, I say that if you're in any kind of medical field, if you're in any kind of health and wellness field, the one thing that you need to do is build trust. If you want to scale your business, now some of y'all in the mental health space are booked out. Y'all are so booked that you don't even have openings for the next 5 years because everybody's kind of losing their mind, especially right about now. Right? Everybody seems to be a scooch losing their mind because of all the things that's going on in the world. And uncertainty is on the rise, and people it's funny how we have created these channels of communication that help us get ideas and convey information. And you would think that by creating more channels of communication, more avenues of communication, that the overall, let's say, anxiety level of society is coming down, but it's doing the opposite. It's like the more we know, the crazier we get, right? And with that being the case, people are needing y'all in that mental health space. So y'all may not be in this place where you need to lead gen, but is that true? Because you may be able to scale your business up by offering something else. And when I said gave the example of you go to the store, you hand a business card that has a promotion on it, that form of lead gen may be something that you can leverage in the mental health space as well, because people are needing your help, but you don't have the ability. So maybe you do like mental health seminars, or do you instead of doing one-to-one, you start to integrate a one-to-many. And instead of you doing one-to-one sessions, you start doing group therapy. And maybe people don't know that you're doing group therapy. Now you have a lead generation situation. Now, lead generation doesn't always stop. It doesn't stop once you get a full book of business. I will say that. Like once you get a full book of business, you may feel like, okay, I'm capped. But if you want to keep on growing, you got to lead. You got to generate more leads. You got to tell people about your new offer. That is essentially what lead gen does for you. And lead gen has a bunch of different aspects, to it. Like there's a bunch of different ways. Like I mentioned a moment ago about podcasting. Podcasting is a great way for you to lead gen. If you make a call to action like the one I'm getting ready to make now, if you have any questions or if you would like to explore how we can go into lead gen for your practice, then you can go to chatwithxavier.com, schedule some time to get on my calendar, and then we'll have a conversation. We'll do a quick call to figure out what we can do one-on-one. Right? We'll have a one-on-one session. We'll walk through what your business is specifically and how we can make lead gen a part of your business. Now, see, that was an offer, right? I made an offer for you to get out there. Now I'm going to be able to now get a new book of business, and you might want to do the same thing. So there's different channels and different ways that you can generate more leads. More leads gives you more opportunities. Now give you the ability to make more money, right? Do more things, right? Hire more people and be a better part of society. I really believe that, and by and large, that us in business, we have a great opportunity to do a lot of things for a lot of people, right? We can do a whole lot for society. We're the business owners. We're the ones that we're like the keys to society. Let me raise my chair. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. Okay, let's go moving on now to lead nurture. Lead nurture, I feel, is the one thing that a lot of people they miss. And I think a lot of us are familiar with lead. We're probably more familiar. If you don't know what lead gen is, the concept of lead gen makes more sense when you break it down, right? Lead gen, simply put in layman terms, is like get more clients. How do you get more clients? How do you get more people? That's lead gen, right? Now, lead nurture is a little bit trickier in the sense that a lot of people don't know what that means to lead nurture. And I think that when I break it down this way, especially for y'all in the health and wellness space, you're going to understand this. Once somebody is now a client or a patient of yours, then you want them to come back for more services, right? You want them to come back. Now, I'm gonna give a real testimony. And my therapist that I go see, one of the best therapists that I've ever seen in my life. The man was great. He comes from it added a level of diversity to my life because he was Asian. I'm Black, obviously. I'm African American. He was Chinese, and he was also Christian. So he had this really broad, world perspective, and going to see him was really great. I loved going to see him. The last time I saw him, though, was quite a while ago. Do you think that he reached out to me? Has he reached out to me since the last time I've had an appointment? No, he hasn't. And I think this is where people in this industry or this like sector of a business in the health and wellness space can use a lot more like intentionality. There's a lot of people out there that you might have helped that might have fallen off, but you don't know that they've fallen off because you haven't checked in with them in a long time. They haven't checked in with you, right? My dentist, on the other hand, is phenomenal with their lead nurture, right? They do a really good job. If I don't go see them in a while, there's two things that's going to happen. I'm going to get a text message and I'm going to get a phone call, right? A text message and a phone call. Now, this is where you start to bring into all the levels of communication. Have you guys heard of like the trust ladder when it comes down to how content or how you deliver your content or how you deliver your communication with your people? A text message is the lowest form of trust. The next the next highest tier of trust will come in the form of an email. Right? And then from an email to a voice note to a video, right? And from a video, a live video, right? So you got 5 levels, right? Text, email, voice note or audio, a video, and then live video. So when you're trying to reach out to people and let them know, hey, I'm here for you, get on the phone. But what system do you have that is going to let you know it's time to get on the phone, right? Well, what if you had an automated system that was triggered to connect with your patient, your patient that you already have that you haven't talked to in a long time, and on the other end, it's going to call you once they get the patient on the phone. So you're not wasting time while you're doing billing, or you have your administrative staff doing billing. Right? They're doing the billing or whatever the case is. They're not sitting there dialing. The system is dialing for you. And when they get a patient on the phone, as soon as that patient picks up, it calls your staff. Your staff picks up, hey, and it lets you know who you're on the phone with. Hey, Mr. Finch, you're due to come in and come see us at the dentist. My dentist office does this exceptionally well. They do this exceptionally well, right? So they have a good nurture system in place. And a lot of you guys could benefit from just having a framework around nurture, right? If you haven't heard from a client in X number of months, you should be sending out an email, letting them know what's going on. And if you want to be really aggressive, have them set up on a newsletter, right? Integrative medicine, y'all folks. You guys could really benefit from this because integrative medicine ties in two different worlds that seem diametrically opposed to each other, where a lot of people don't think that the naturopathic and the medical approach can actually exist in the same realm, and it can. And you guys can help tell that story by giving people information, ideas, like natural remedies to take, things they can do right now, how stretching increases your blood flow, and increased blood flow increases productivity. They can be able to, you come up with the ideas. I'm just going to be the one to help you put the technology together so that you can get those things done, right? That's lead nurture. Lead nurture or lead management, as it might be better stated, is where all the money is really made. And simply because most people, the reason why they go to other doctors or go to other practices is just simply because they haven't been, they don't have a touch point. You don't have a touch point with them. They haven't heard from you in a long time. You know that old saying, out of sight, out of mind. Well, lead management deals with that, right? So let's kind of recap. Lead gen or lead generation, get new clients, right? Lead nurture, lead management, and lead nurture, keep the clients, re-engage the clients, get them involved, right? So then you said, okay, well then how does all this come together? Like how does all these things kind of come together? Like how do I keep all these things in place? And some of you guys already have good systems in place. They just need to be optimized. Like you have good software, but it's not optimized. Like you don't have a strategy or a plan around it. And so that's where I start to get into the next thing that I really want to discuss today. And as if you noticed that we're talking about lead generation, lead management or nurture, and then we're talking about CRM. So what's CRMs? CRM basically is a customer relationship management platform or customer relationship management. CRM basically is a software that basically brings the functionality of lead gen and lead nurture into focus, and a good one will do a lot of these things for you, leveraging automation and AI, so that you can not only be able to reach out to people, but you can program the system to give your clients the same white glove treatment that you would give your potential clients or your client or your patients if you were to deal with them one-on-one yourself. And it takes a lot of thought and it takes a lot of planning to be able to set up your CRM in a way that best represents your practice so that people will then stay engaged with you. And ultimately what you want is for them to refer you to their friends and their family, right? Say, hey, I go see Dr. such and such, or I go see John over here at this, whatever the case is. You want them to be able to talk to you. And the way you're doing that is because you're consistently reaching out to them. Every time they interact with you, it's the same experience, and that has a lot to do with having a good framework, a good template on how you treat everyone, and then you execute on that every single time. But you eliminate the human error of omission. That's my new term I'm starting to use. Human error of omission. Like we all are human, so we tend to forget, or we get busy. We want to be able to take care of Sally, but Sue is ready to go and needs to be seen. But Sally has a lot of questions, and she's going through her own personal struggles and troubles, and so Sue doesn't really get the attention that she needs up front. Her questions are not answered. Feels like she's not being attended to. Therefore, it makes you look like you're not in the ballpark of somebody that she didn't want to deal with. And we deal with that with a CRM. And what makes a good CRM? And we're going to talk about that. So what makes a good CRM is the ability to be able to communicate with your clients or with your patients at the level where they're at. Me, for instance, I'm not one to answer a phone call if it says scam likely, or if it's a number that I don't recognize. If it's not a number that's programmed in my phone, it's likely going to go to voicemail, right? And I'll get back to it if they leave a voicemail. I'll monitor the voicemail and I'll get back to it. Some people are more prone to reply to SMS or text messages. That's me. If you send me a text message, I'm going to read the text message, and if the text message is something that I want to deal with, I'll either call back or text back. Then there's another thing. There's a lot of systems out there that CRM that don't engage people with SMS conversations. They're only good for sending out messages, but they're not good for receiving that two-way communication. My vet, for instance, they've done something in the last 2 years or something like that, and I need to talk to Dr. Linda and ask her about what she did to establish this new system. But they changed their system now, so where the phone, the SMS, the emails, the phone, the phone. I already said that. Phone calls, and what else? I forget. They got another. They got a layer of different ways they'll communicate with you, and they all on their payment system. They're all in one space, right? You can tell, like, if I send them an SMS, and it's something that's important, or they'll send me a notification saying, "Hey, your dog Boudreaux needs to come in to the vet." Right? They'll send me an SMS. And then if the SMS is compelling enough, I'll communicate back with them. And guess what? Somebody actually communicates back with me. It isn't like a one-way communication system. It's actually dialogue that happens there. And I'll do stuff like, they'll be like, "Can you send us a picture of the affected area, or what's going on? Can you show me via picture?" I'll take a picture, or I'll take a video, and I'll send it to them, and they'll be able to keep that picture and those videos in my contact record, so that whenever I go into the veterinarian office, they'll be able to look and say, "Oh yeah, that picture that you sent me last Tuesday, how was that going? Right? How has that gotten any better? Has it got worse? Right?" So that SMS, this is all happening through their CRM, and they'll also be able to call me. They send out automated voice reminders sometimes, and they could drop a voicemail directly into my phone if they need to leave me a voicemail, or they can even email me, because the email is like the baseline of everything anyway. They email me. It's a great CRM system. It keeps them informed, and it helps me feel like they care, because the response times and that's the response times and how they communicate with me meets me at the level that I'm at. It comes to me. Like, a good CRM will meet your clients or meet your patients at the place where they're at. And everybody has a different way they like to communicate. And if your CRM system doesn't allow you to be able to communicate with your clients or with your patients at a time in a way that they feel or is comfortable for them, then you have an opportunity, or you have a hole, right? We like to say opportunities, but really it's a shortcoming, right? You have a shortcoming in your system, and you need to look at that as a potential area of growth, that you can be able to turn that into more revenue, more profits, more referrals, and be able to secure your business going forward. So that's where the CRM comes into play. And how do you use the CRM? Is it easy to use? Does it take a lot of developer or like software engineer or technical prowess to be able to install it, or not? And do you have the people in place right now to be able to do the work to get your CRM up to speed? Those are also areas of concern and questions that I get, right? Like, who's going to set it up for me? Is it going to be easy to install? Well, how do I get it to work the way I need it to work? I don't like change. This is going to be a lot of change for me, or is this going to be easy for me to kind of figure out? Those are all questions that come into the CRM. So let's review for a second. We talked about lead gen, right? We talked about what that is basically getting new clients, getting new customers. We talked about lead management and nurture, is how to keep your current clients, your current customers, and how to be able to keep them in the loop, keep them informed. And now we're talking about a CRM that basically brings these different concepts together so that you can perform the first two things with a level of efficiency that not only gives your clients more of that happy, good feeling, that ooey gooey. They love me, they care about me. My practitioners, my people that take care of me and my body and my family, they actually care. They actually staying in touch. They're staying informed. They're staying aware. You're giving that off to your clients, right? So let's talk about how all this kind of comes together and what are some good frameworks. Well, one of the things that you need to consider is what it takes for somebody to become a client, right? In other words, once you get there, once you have content like a podcast, like we talked about earlier, that raises awareness, so then they go, "Oh, okay, I want to work with you." What do you need to have in place so that they can go through becoming a new client. And then what about those that want to rebook you or things like that? Like, what are some good frameworks? Well, let's deal with the first one first. Let's deal with lead gen. Then if we get a opportunity, we'll deal with lead nurture, or we might have to come back to good best practices for lead nurture, right? First of all, whenever you have like a new patient intake or a new patient inquiry, you want to make sure that you have a form that is connected to a CRM, so that whenever you're sending out whenever they say they want to sign up, you are going to be able to respond back to them within 1 to 2 minutes max. You don't want to go beyond 1 to 2 minutes because you start to introduce doubt. And then doubt produces antitrust, and then antitrust ends up being that they don't become a long-term client or a long-term patient. So that's the first thing. Have them, if they have an interest, have a form. Have a form for them to fill out, have an email, an SMS, or even a phone call that replies back to them within the first 1 to 2 minutes. Once they get that back to you, be able to have a booking system or some kind of appointment booking system that correlates with it. In some cases, your intake form and your booking system may be one, and make sure you have a CRM that allows that to be a situation, right? The next thing you need to have in place that would be a good best practice is to have a pipeline or like a patient stage chart, something that allows you to be able to tell that this is a new patient, this is their first appointment, this is when the appointment is going to be, did they show up for the appointment, did they no-show? These are all stages. Imagine it like swim lanes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, and be able to track where they're at. And most importantly, when you're talking about lead gen, is the follow-up that happens after they have come into the office and you performed your amazing service to help them be better, right? They got their teeth done, right? How do you enjoy, how are you loving your smile right now? You know, what did you think about our practitioners? Was there enough engagement? Was there too little engagement? One of the things that some people like when they're sitting in the dentist's office and when their back's up and they're looking at that TV on the ceiling, they like to be talked to. They like to be engaged. Other people don't want to be talked to and engaged. Some people would rather be quiet and go to sleep or just let you do what you need to do, right? Engage them. In other words, perform a survey. Figure out what they liked, what they didn't like. And then based on those results, if they are, say like you had a scale of 1 to 5, anything from a 3 or a 5, it's a thank you. Anything from a 2 and below, it's a what can we do? Can we offer you free teeth whitening on your next visit, right? So it's all about having a framework. That's what I'm talking about. Have a framework. And the framework really starts with what it takes for somebody to become a client or a patient of yours to a returning raving fan of yours. So they know that you care, right? So it's all of those different stages. And that's why having a really capable CRM is important, because you need to have all these different channels firing at different times, at set times, so that you can spend more time on doing what you need to do, which is actually the work. Again, starting from the top, we're all skilled professionals. We have a particular skill that allows us to be able to make a living for ourselves and then to serve the people that we want to serve, right? But what is that skill? Doing that skill does what? It takes time. It takes time away from your being able to have these conversations. But if you had a system in place and a framework in place that allows you the ability to be able to communicate with those that are new to you in a way that makes them feel like you're fully engaged, then now you can move forward, right? So that's what you need to look at as far as a framework, and then some of the best practices. Have somewhere for somebody to fill out. I'm going to recap that part. Have a place for people to fill out new patient information. Be able to get their information. If you want to have it like a book, they want them to book an appointment, or if you have a discovery period, or if you have a consultation period, then get them on that consultation by providing them with a calendar or some kind of appointment or booking system, reply back to them within 1 to 2 minutes, and then be able to provide a survey after the service is provided. But there's a couple of steps I might have missed in between time. What about appointment reminders? Do you have a way that's automatically let people know that they have an appointment or not? Because appointment reminders are very important, especially in the health and wellness. You know, when you anything that you have a consultant, like if you book an appointment with me, you're going to get a reminder. You're going to get a confirmation. You're going to get a reminder a week out. You're going to get a reminder, I think it's like 4 days out, 4 hours out, and like 10 minutes out, right? You get multiple reminders to give people the best opportunity to show up on time, ready to go. Now, in a lot of cases, and even me, this is something that I could improve on, that gap between the time that they book an appointment with you and the time they actually show up with an appointment with you is the perfect time. And this, we're talking framework and we're talking about best practices, is the perfect time to tell them what they can expect and reaffirm the outcome that they're going to get, right? So let's take the example of a dentist. So if you're a dentist and you have somebody that wanted to come in and they want to get a cleaning, right? Now is a good time to talk about how you do your cleanings. Cleanings usually take us about 15 to 20 minutes. We go through a consult, but before the cleaning, we go through a consultation. We make sure that everything is going to be good. We take x-rays, we get all the things together so that by the time that you walk out, not only will you have your teeth in the best possible shape they can be the day of, but we give you a plan of attack to make sure that you keep your teeth in place, right? You explain your services. And that's what's going to make people feel really good, because when they come to the dentist or they come to your office, they sit down in your chair, they know what to expect. So in the meantime, 1, maybe 2 different emails that go out during that period of waiting will help them be ready and stay engaged, right? And in some cases, you might even want to throw out an SMS, be like, hey, thank you very much for booking with us last week. You know, boom, 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 whatever that is. The whole thing, and this is what we talk about when you can sit down with me and you go through a consultation, is that we go through and we identify what your particular client or your patient journey is going to be, from being a complete stranger all the way through to being somebody that's received a service and now they're happy about it and they're referring you back. So there's frameworks, right? You're going to find that having a framework is going to give you the ability to be able to create measurable results or expected measurable outcomes. And if you have a measurable outcome, then you have something that you can manage, right? Because what you measure, you can manage, right? What you manage, you should be able to measure, right? Another way to put it is inspect what you expect. If you expect people to come to your business or your place of business and walk away satisfied, happy, and feeling invigorated and helped and served, and you gotta measure it and you gotta check it out. You gotta inspect it. And having a framework is the beginning of that. Some people might not understand the framework, and another way to put it is SOPs. What's your standard operating procedures, right? What's your standard operating practices, so you can ensure that the same white glove treatment can be handed to everybody that comes in contact with your practice, with your business. So we've done a lot of talking and not a lot of demonstration today, but all these systems that we're talking about now are handled within the confines of the Traffic Link app, right? Within the environment of the Traffic Link app, all these different systems are addressed, right? From content creation and awareness all the way through to following up, providing surveys, and making sure that what you expected has actually been delivered, so that you can do it better for them the next time they come to visit or for the next client, right? So there's different steps that happen along the way. All right, so we talked about what happens between the time that they booked and the time that and the time they show up for the actual appointment for you to receive the service, for you to deliver the service to them. Another thing is day of. How many times have you sent out a notification saying, hey, we're going to meet, or you're going to come to my office. Here's the directions. You know, click here. Here's the address and directions, right? so you can get directions. That's another thing that you can be doing. The day of service, right? And when they, so that you can give them something on the way, to give them, let them know, here's another level of service we want to provide to you that doesn't cost you much other than maybe an SMS. And like sending an SMS the day of, just to confirm you have the address. This is the address, to make it easy for you to plug into your maps so you can make it here safely, right? We want to see you on time. We want to see you happy, and take it from there. Another thing could be you might want, if you're meeting with somebody and they're coming to see you, you might offer them something to drink. You might want to ask them what their drink preferences. If you're not a dentist, or you're somebody like you're consulting with them, like integrative medicine or something like that, you might say, do you want water, tea, or coffee? And then have that waiting for them in the consultation room, so that when they get there, it's all ready to go. This little bit of tweaky things that's going to set you apart, right? It's going to help you be able to scale, because if you do it right and you do it well, you can be able to deliver a high quality service that's going to set you apart. That's going to increase your like, know, and trust factors, and then you'll be able to generate and scale your business up to a higher level. So these are just some frameworks that I kind of put out there, some kind of ideas or some guides that help you understand how you can be able to do good with your lead generation, your lead nurture. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Maybe we got time. Let's talk about lead nurture. And then we'll talk about lead nurture in a second. And then also what your CRM can do. Because your CRM enables all these different things that we talked about in a framework, right? And it helps you be able to grow your business. Lead nurture. What are some good practices with lead nurture? One of the most commonly overlooked areas with lead nurture is establishing offers to re-engage your target, re-engage your client or your customer, or your client or patient base, right? Your book of patients. How are you doing that? You should have an offer every month, or every set interval, every other month, whatever the case is, that goes out to everybody in your practice. In another video previous to now, I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago, we talked about a little bit about this, but we didn't put it in the frame or in the scope of lead nurture. But what if somebody came in, and say you're a massage therapist, right? Somebody came in and they came in for a massage, and they came in for just a regular medium pressure massage. And when we came in, and when they came in, they got the service, right? And then say you have another service, like maybe you do another patient, you might have done, let's like take waxing, for instance, right? They got wax done, right? You do massage, you do wax, right? What if you had a different offer for somebody that came in for a massage to give them a wax? Or what if they came in for a wax and now you gave the next month, you offer them a massage? So lead nurture is the best place for you to grow your business revenue, by offering people that have already come in and got your service. Of course, you've already done the survey with them and found out that they really like your service. What if you then gave them a complimentary service to the one that they already received? So maybe somebody came in for a wax, they came in for a massage, and then maybe you have like a microderm situation, right? Or something like that. Now, how do you know which people came in for what, and how do you keep up with that at scale? Again, the CRM helps you find those people. And I identify those people in your list of clients, right? Or list of patients, list of your book of patients. What I'm talking about here is segmentation. So for everybody that comes in, being able to track them based on their engagement with you, and then coming up with a monthly offer that addresses whatever segment they find themselves in, right? So for instance, if somebody comes in and gets the wax, and then another comes in and gets the massage, another comes in for the microderm, then you're sending them out offers that are relative to where they find themselves at, right? In another situation, in a dentist situation, somebody comes in for their first cleaning, right? And you want to nurture them to come back for another appointment. Maybe you have them, excuse me, maybe you have them come in for a whitening, and they talk about what that whitening service looks like, and then you give them a special offer to get them to come in for a whitening. These are what's called monthly limited time offers. And establishing monthly limited time offers, I guarantee you, is the first place you need to go to be able to generate and put money in your pocket right now, today. If you were to come to me right now and say, X, I have a book of clients that's probably about 4,000 to 5,000 people long or deep. What can I do with that list of people that will be able to generate income by this Friday? And the first thing I'm going to tell you is you need to come up with a monthly limited time offer, or a LTO, a limited time offer, and send it out to your email list. But we have to first be able to segment your list so we know that this offer is going to a specific person in your list. Because again, people would prefer one-on-one treatment as opposed to being considered just somebody that's on their list. And if you can address the last service that they got and then the next service that they're proposing to get, you're going to be able to exponentially increase your revenue. But you need to be able to communicate with people where they're at. Again, a CRM does that. It helps meet people where they're at and helps you offer make an offer that's going to be good for them. So we can go into that in much greater depth, and I think maybe I should go into that about what is a good what are good best practices or frameworks for lead nurture, because that's a lot. I'm hoping that today that you got a lot about understanding about lead generation, also that you understand a little bit about lead nurture and what you can do there. And I feel like it may be a little bit gray at this point, but the definitions of understanding what the lead generation, lead nurture, and what a CRM are, and that they are still relevant today, in 2025. Nothing has changed. We're midway through the year, just about. Nothing has changed. These are still tenets in your business and in marketing that you need to employ, not now, like right now. And I hope that you guys got some value out of that. Again, I'm going to come back to talk about what lead nurture is and some more framework around lead nurture. I want to jump into the Traffic Link app and show you guys how these things actually work, and show you what are some of the things that we've implemented. If you go back in the history of this channel, you'll be able to find other videos that relate to that. Once again, I'm Xavier. I'm the Traffic Link, you guys. Thank you guys for tapping in. Thank you guys for being a part of the community. And today it looks like we've had the most views, concurrent views at one time that we've ever had. So it lets me know that the channel is actually growing. And thank you guys for rocking with me. You can find me on any platform at the Traffic Link. You can reach out to me and jump into my calendar to ask questions. You can go to chatwithxavier.com, go there, schedule your time to talk. I'm here for you guys. I want to see you guys make that digital transformation that you've all been waiting to make, so that you can grow your business and enjoy your life a little bit more and serve the people that you've been called to serve. I'm out. I'll touch you guys on the next one.